Sup? I'm Dick. This is Dictate the Day. And it's a good one. It's an awesome day today. It's Wednesday. It's the 27th of the good old August. If you've been here before, thank you so very much for joining me again. If this is your first time and you're wondering what is this shirtless savage up to, well, let's get into it, shall we? What I have today is, pretty similar to what I normally do as of late. I've got some crazy clips, stuff for entertainment purposes, of course. I don't even know if this stuff is real, but man, it is amazing. To think about, do a little research on, and maybe share with friends, neighbors, things of that nature. With that being said, let's get into it, shall we? But you know how I like to do this. I like to prep myself, and I like to bring you along, even for the prep. So, I like to channel the vibe on the channel. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play a little music. I'm going to step into the mode, and come on with me. Please, thank you. Here we go. It is now time. Let's do it. I feel like we're there now. We're in it. We're in it. Some of these clips that I have today, I've shown similar versions of them, but there is one in particular, and I'm saving it for the last. Stick around. It may behoove you in the long run. Like I said, entertainment purposes only, but, I show a lot of clips of this word, conspiracy theory. It's so often, though, that they end up revealing themselves as just truth. Not all of them, of course, entertainment. But this one is always on my mind. We'll get there. No spoiler alerts. Check this first one out, though. This is the good old JRE show. Big fan. And he's talking about the earthquakes that were in Russia. That big 8-1 or whatever that got all the tsunami warnings on multiple coasts here in our wonderful realm, planet, plane, whatever it is. But it is a little awe-inspiring, if you will. Check this out. Schnicks.
There's a guy who was hiking in Russia when the most recent tsunami hit, and he was on a cliff, and you see the ocean come in and reach the top of the cliff where his dog is. See if you can find it. It's crazy because he films the thing coming in. Watch this. So look how high this guy is.
Way up.
Way up, right? As he's up here, he's seeing the waves come in. Now, watch how it's coming in now. And now it keeps coming. It keeps coming all the way to the top where he is. It's nuts. Look at his dog.
Oh,
Dog's like, yo. If I would be freaking out. I would be running.
Yeah, I'd be out with that, man.
I wouldn't trust it. What if it goes over the top where you're at? You're just guessing. Dog's about to get jacked.
Bro.
I mean, if you get trapped in that, you are not swimming to shore. That's your life. It's over. I don't care if you're Laird Hamilton. If a comet slams into the ocean right there or slams into a glacier, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. There's a guy who was...
Okay. Remember that clip. I'm going to reference that again as we get towards the end of this little journey we're on. Joe just referenced, if a comet hit, especially if it hit in the water, and we have more water on this thing we're living on than we do anything else. yeah, it would become a problem because that water would disperse elsewhere. And yeah, entertainment. Let's go. Next.
So if I was the president and I knew
I had a thought about this. Thoughts. Tell me what you think. Put a little something in the comments if you agree, disagree, or if you just think this is way too out the norm. There's no way. But it does kind of make sense.
knew something crazy was coming, like a big ship from outer space or anything crazy like that,
He's talking about the 3i Atlas. And then
I would probably deploy a bunch of troops to a bunch of different major cities so that when I made the announcement, people, if they're freaking the hell out, would be able to be controlled.
so he's referencing, this was maybe at the top of the week, maybe last week. I try not to follow the political stuff too much if it doesn't directly impact me. And I know ultimately the decisions made by the higher ups will. But Washington, D.C. had, military involvement to help clean up the streets or something like that. And then I heard other reports of the National Guard being dispersed to other major cities to assist in crime and, whatever. But what if it was all just to prepare, to keep us from freaking out when the 3i Atlas or whatever is coming? I mean, you know about that Project Bluebell ice cream, right? I'm just being funny. It's Bluebeam, and I don't think I have enough viewers for anyone to care about me saying Project Bluebeam. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Just saying. So if I was the president,
Seriously, I have a clip coming up too. Let's just get into it. Here we go. No spoilers. Let's get it. Roll up.
People are beginning to wonder why nobody ever dreams about smartphones. Smartphones are never in anybody's dreams.
Are they in your dreams?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen a smartphone in my dream. Now, some people speculate that this could just be, the older generations don't have it in their dreams because they didn't grow up on smartphone technology. I'm a millennial, so that would probably explain that. But the Gen Z kids, I guess, and younger, I guess how some of them are reporting having dreams of their smartphones. Well, it got me thinking, what else are we not dreaming about that we just never know? It's an interesting thing. And maybe some people can put some things in the comments that they never dream about and we could hash it out. Maybe there is, because that is interesting. If every human being experiences something, but no human being ever sees it in their dreams, that's interesting.
That would actually prove some kind of simulation.
Yeah.
Because something is not wanting you to see something on your unconscious level.
People are beginning to wonder.
I don't know about that. I don't dream a lot anymore, for whatever reason. That sounds sad. I have dreams and aspirations, however, many of them. But when I sleep, I don't. Man, I feel like the last dream I had, I talked about it on the channel, and that was way back in the day when I was just out walking, like in the first couple months of me starting the channel. I couldn't even remember what it was. I'd have to go back and look to see what the dream even consisted of. But this is crazy. Because I had a dream last night. And no, it did not have any cell phones. I've never dreamed about a cell phone. I was born in the 70s. So cell phones didn't come along until a long time. I would like to talk about the dream I had last night. But it was kind of violent, weird. I mean, it wasn't like fighting. It was pew pew and yeah. And I can't give too many details on the YouTube. But like they're saying, what else are we not dreaming about that we... Like you think about it, how many times have you misplaced or lost your cell phone and you go through this panic, right? Like, oh my God. Like it's happened to me multiple times. And you're like, I have no idea where I left it. Scary. My calendar just fell. Yeah, what else? I can't. Does anyone dream about cell phones? Have you ever had a dream? You think, like I was saying, all the nervous times we've had, like, oh, I have to leave this place, this restaurant, this office, whatever it is, and I don't know where my cell phone is. You would think that that stressful moment would potentially create a dream somewhere in your life. But I never have. Have you? Put it in the comments. I get like maybe 2 to 3 comments on my videos. Engage with me. Okay, let's go.
Okay, you've got to hear this one. And this is, of course, for entertainment purposes only, TikTok. Official FAA documents just confirmed something totally disturbing about the drone swarms that were happening over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Not just drones. A black cube was spotted at 16,000 feet. The government tried to hide this detail, but a recent FOIA request reveals what really happened over one of America's most secretive military bases. So check this out. On December 14th, drones swarmed Wright-Pat. They were seen over the hot cargo ramp, flying past security teams, turning off their lights mid-flight, and the entire airfield was actually shut down. 3 days later, the radar detects 17 targets in a 40-mile radius. Controllers called it a swarm, and a pilot sees a silver drone at 3,200 feet. Still explainable. Then, on December 19th, everything changes. A westbound aircraft at 16,000 feet spots an object passing only 500 feet beneath them. The pilot's description of this, a black cube. The FAA logged the sighting, then they quietly removed it from the public reports. The Air Force mentions formations and evasive maneuvers, but not the cube. And the question is, why? What flies at 16,000 feet with no wings, no transponder on, and is shaped like a perfect cube? Why was it scrubbed from the record? Some sightings are strange. Others clearly are being actively erased. You can read more about this on theblackvault.com. I'll put the link down in the description. What's going on?
For real, what's going on? Thank you, Hallucination Hippies. Love the channel. I probably show one clip per every one of my, uploads. I didn't hear about the black cube, but let me suggest something for you if you got some free time. There is a deep rabbit hole about the black cube theory, and I don't want to say too much because it might become an issue, and I don't really know what I'm talking about on this subject. And I think is it Saturn that has the black cube at the top of its atmosphere or something? It's one of the planets. And then this is what could get me in trouble. There's several religious practices that involve a black cube. One's on the head of a certain belief, and I think it has prayers in it. Another one is huge and has a meteorite in it, and people circle around it and rub it and worship it. If you know what I'm talking about, put it in there. Help explain it for those, because I'm not doing a good job. But that is strange. The first thing I thought when they were like, all the other drones in the area were doing, evasive maneuvers and stuff, but the cube was just kind of floating along. What if the cube was projecting all the other stuff? I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Entertainment. Thoughts. Here we go. Roll up.
My biggest fascinations, because if these things are sighted all around our nuclear sites on land.
It doesn't really set this up. But if you've seen any clips online of whatever these UFO UAPs are, who knows? Somebody does. Multiple times, because they think the contact with whatever happened once we got nuclear power. And there's been big, accidents that have been prevented. Everything from nuclear meltdowns at some of the big nuclear stations that were basically fixed by these little floating orbs. I've seen that when it shoots a little light and it stops the reactor from melting down. I've heard about certain UAPs, UFOs, basically making it to where our nuclear stuff won't work. And there's the theory that once we got a hold of that power, that's why they become present in our world, because we're not supposed to have it. It's too dangerous, or whatever. But I've never thought about all the submarines that are out there. They are loaded to the hilt with, crazy amounts of nuclear power. And supposedly all these UAP, UFOs, or whatever, originating from the ocean. Of course, that's where the submarines are at. Why don't we ever hear about any kind of involvement with the underwater UAPs messing with the submarines? They're about to tell you why. Watch this.
What the hell are they doing with the submarines underwater that are loaded to the gills with nukes and are all throughout the oceans?
Yeah.
So like, if I'm one of these guys who spends months on a nuclear submarine in the ocean, I'm sure these guys have to have some incredible stories. Some of them do, but I've never heard one. I've never heard one story.
Well, there's a reason for that. So first off, it's interesting. Let's just look at the data. A lot of these events have happened around nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, right? Theodore Roosevelt, Nimitz.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of activity there. And I have had one report from an officer who was on a boomer, some ballistic missile submarine in the North Atlantic, who observed a contact. I've shared this before, but really quickly, it had the characteristics of basically a Russian torpedo in terms of closing fast and at a high rate of speed and coming at the submarine.
Right.
And so and in an area they wouldn't have expected it. So they did all the procedures to avoid it. They turned around, they dove deep to nearly crush depth, and when the object got close to them, it stopped. And it kind of went around to their stern and followed them for a while, and then rapidly exited the area. And he's not sure what to make of that, but there shouldn't have been anything there because it was in the North Atlantic during a 40-foot seas.
Right.
And so that's when there's high ambient noise. And
Wow.
nothing could detect them. Those subs are quiet. And when there's really high ambient noise, they're undetectable. So that couldn't have been a Russian torpedo or high-speed submersible that hadn't even been built yet. So there's nothing he could explain it. So, but I've not heard a lot of other reports from submariners because that is such a classified area because it's nuclear security and it's undersea security. And those are the most highly classified programs in the government. And so I've not been able to crack into them. I was tangentially read into some of that, but and so I know about that, but nothing regarding UAP. But if anything about UAP in the water that data resides anywhere, it's in those programs, and they are locked tight.
Yeah, there's this guy who Jesse also interviewed, Harold Malmgren.
Yeah.
Who said to him, the Office of Naval Intelligence has more data on this stuff than anybody.
Well, right. And he referred to I believe the National...
More than the Air Force.
Yeah. National Underwater Reconnaissance Office.
Yes.
Yes. So that's it. I know about them. But again, I've not been able to see that information. He's very credible, and his daughter also served, I think, in the Bush administration and the Reagan administration. Right. And her name is Pippa, and she's terrific too. He was right on. In fact, that's interesting. I've been working on this.
My biggest fascinations, because of these things.
Okay, that dude he's talking to, that's Danny Jones, by the way. I love his podcast. Super cool. I love the variety of people. He gives everybody, a chance to talk and tell their piece. But that guy he's talking to, his name's Tim Gallaudet. I'm probably messing that up. Gallaudet. And he's a retired nuclear submarine captain. I love movies, especially the ones from back in the day. Anytime I hear about this, my mind instantly starts flashing pictures of the movie The Abyss. It's a worthy watch. It still holds up today. Even the special effects, pretty good for the time period. I think it came out in the early 2000s or something, but give it a watch. It's good. It's good. Okay, let's go. Next.
But something's going on. I've seen.
What he's talking about is what I've been saying all along. I've mentioned it a couple times on the channel. Listen, here we go.
Videos. Most, I don't believe the whistleblowers. I don't believe anyone from Air Force Intelligence. I don't believe any of that. And if you have a book out I don't believe what you're saying. If you're cleared by the DOD,
I definitely don't.
I definitely don't. If you still have clearance and you're still a contractor and you're still working with DOD, I can't. You're not a whistleblower. You're doing PR. So, with all due respect, I don't believe you guys. Matthew Brown, I think his last name is Brown. He's kind of a compelling whistleblower because he doesn't go over the top. He just says, "I found evidence of something going on in space," and that's really all he says. But something's going on. I've seen.
This makes so much sense to me because they've kept stuff from us before, they being and then supposedly these whistleblowers, like they have books and they're making the rounds on all the podcasts and stuff, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, I can't tell you that, that's still classified," or whatever, but they'll let some of this stuff out. Like I don't know. Unless it makes me, I feel like if they wanted to fake this better, it would be more believable for me if they had like the voice distorter on and they were blurring out their face and like, "This is a retired such and such and he's spilling the beans about," but it's not like that. Not anymore, not of recent. And that's what makes me think they're grooming us, yo. They're getting us ready for the project of blueness. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Entertainment. Let's go.
That program was actually a part of the GATE program. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was something called the GATE program back.
I remember the GATE program. And I have a little story about it before they get into it. Man, this must have been, I'm going to say 4th or 5th grade. Yeah, 4th, 5th, or 6th. GATE standing for Gifted and Talented Education. I don't even remember. But they would bring us into a room. They had I don't know how they made these selections. They bring us into this room, and it wouldn't, be a classroom that wasn't used or the computer lab or whatever. And they gave us these tests, these Scantron tests. And they gave us these little bitty Dixie cups of what looked like and had the consistency because it was kind of chalky, like Pepto-Bismol. We didn't have to get permission from our parents to take whatever this was. And this only happened to me a couple times. And I'll tell you why. One of my family members who was in like 1 or 2 grades lower than me, but he was super duper smart. And for sure, I don't know why they were testing me for anything. My grades were they got better as I got into high school because I got better with finagling. But they were like, "Yeah, we're going to test you for gifted and talented." And I was like, "All right, but I already feel like I got enough schoolwork and homework to do. What are we doing?" And they were like, "Well, if you score high enough on this test, you're going to have extra projects and fun stuff to do, and you'll get to do that." I was like, "Oh, okay." So they did this to me twice. I purposely failed this thing. The Scantron they gave us, I went crazy on it. I even made it look like I was copying off of people. And then when they got my Scantron, I literally just filled in a happy face on that sucker. When I did that, they were really mad. And of course, they never tried to test me again. But I remember, and the more of these little things I watch about people talking about what they remember, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Tell me, do you remember? Were you a part of this? What they do to us? What's going on? What's the liquid? What? Dude, if my kid came home now and was like, "Yeah, they had us drinking these little Pepto-Bismol shots," I'd be like, "What did they give you?" And I'd be calling right away. "Yeah, here we go. Let's go."
Back in the day, they used to get elementary kids and treat them like X-Men mutants and put them in dark rooms and see about their
like
supernatural or psychic abilities.
Right, I remember that. And
that was real. That was by the CIA. And this was before we were kids. I didn't know what the was going on.
Yeah.
I had a couple friends that were in the GATE program. GATE.
Yeah, because it's weird that Trump calls this new AI initiative Stargate, and the old program Stargate was about psychics and remote viewers.
Right.
And then the GATE program was the kid version in schools when they're doing the GATE program and testing kids.
Right. And they also gave people this pink drink. They gave it to them like pretty much every day. And it was, they could only drink that drink. So I don't know what that was about.
Okay, hold up. So it was like a pink Kool-Aid substance?
It was like some pink juice.
Some pink juice, and they were feeding these kids for years?
As long as you were in the GATE program.
Oh,
and it was only that drink. Like, why would you give kids the same drink for years and
That's
years?
weird.
That's weird. So
that's like just what I said earlier, like how the CIA runs all these operations, and then later we could see the effects, because we don't know, like maybe people are going to start flying. We have no idea.
we don't know. I mean, rabbits are transforming, so who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that program was actually a part of the GATE program. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but
Man. Yeah. I feel like if they would have told me back in the day that we're testing to see if you're a superhero, that would have got me. I'm glad they didn't do that. I'd have been like, I'm definitely a superhero. No, but you know, here we go. Next.
Why would they want to fake UFOs?
This clip is 3 minutes and 55 seconds long. This is a very smart individual. He's been on all the podcasts. He's, worked for several colleges. Super duper academic guy. I like him because although he's, uber intelligent, he has this common sense about him. And he's gonna go off on these weird, I feel like he's just too intelligent sometimes and we can't follow him. But the overall message that he's trying to send is there's always sneaky stuff going on. And I'll let him explain it. Here we go. Man. Watch this.
This is so weird. Did you happen to watch Joe Rogan episode 1945 where I talked about the whole history of the golden age of general relativity and its relationship to UFO, UAP, anti-gravity research, and the atomic bomb?
I didn't know.
Okay. When we invaded the beaches of Normandy on D-Day, that was called Operation Overlord. We had an entirely fake invasion planned of Norway called Operation Fortitude that was part of Operation Bodyguard, which is part of just total deception. And why? Because we were building up troops to do something huge. So we tried to convince, we planted plans for the invasion of Norway on dead bodies to wash up on beaches so the Germans would find them. We fake stuff all the time.
That's it.
That's what we do. And you can't talk about what we do that is deceptive without being ruined by what are called covert influence operations. Like if you watch my Twitter account, you'll see all sorts of accounts descend on it. Fraud, charlatan, grifter, blah, 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 blah. Some of that is just people being mean. But you'll notice that, if I really start talking about physics and I start talking about security and I start talking about things that anyone can Google and most of us don't think to do it, suddenly it gets really, really intense. And the whole point is it's supposed to be untraceable. It's supposed to be a way in which, almost certainly, we know a ton about what happened in the Wuhan Institute of Virology because of 2 bioweapons conventions that we were signatories to and which we ratified. The Geneva Convention and a bioweapons convention in the 1970s. But that's not top of mind for ordinary people. They just watched, their great-grandma die, and they watched their children get sick, and they watched their own brain fog. They can't know whether that was a bioweapon that we were working on coming out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill with Ralph Barrick's lab. We're up to constant secret stuff.
Why would they fake the UFOs though? What was that distraction?
You ever
for?
seen the B-2 bomber?
Yeah.
What if you saw that before we were ready to say it existed?
Yeah, you'd think it was a UFO or something.
So wouldn't it be better if we had a UFO story ready to go when we had cool aerospace?
Oh, okay. So you're saying they're working on something which they didn't want you to know. So
What's more, what if we convinced China or Russia or Iran that we had incredible powers that they don't have? Then they might be very reluctant to strike us. Or they might waste a tremendous amount of money developing anti-gravity technology when there's no such thing. There are plenty of good reasons to fake such things. Why would we why would we plan an invasion of Norway if we weren't going to invade?
But if that's a distraction technique, do you have any hypothesis as to what was going on there?
But that's not my job.
Okay.
Because as soon as you do that, I know that the quality of my guessing is not going to be at the quality of my detecting when we're up to bullshit.
Okay.
So in other words, if you ask me, why is physics stagnant? I can say, I don't know, but there's a decent chance that we know how dangerous physics is and that it's crazy to do it in an open university environment.
Why would they want to fake UFOs?
Right. I got some ideas. I got some theories. Entertainment. Yeah. Why? And why? Once we find out, it happens all the time. All the time. What is it? The Bay of Tonkin? Operation Northwoods? There's all... Man. Okay. All right. I'm glad I showed that. I just... Question everything. Question everything. That's why this channel of mine even exists. This aspect of my channel. Yes. Yeah. Here we go.
You look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is...
I'm just going to say more lies. Watch.
So clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
See the hair? See the hair?
Oh yeah, we see your hair, and we can totally see the hairspray that is quite obviously in your hair. But that's not even the worst part of this video. Now keep your eyes right here. He obviously pulls on something, a wire harness, something. And then there's this guy who's handling something invisible and then putting it on the shelf where it's obviously supposed to go. And then there's this guy who's just casually floating back and forth just to show we're in space in case you forgot. And then we have this guy here. It's the incredible disappearing astronaut. What just happened there? Now this astronaut is looking like he's trying to demonstrate something, so he goes to pull out a screw and drops it. And here we have Tom Cruise in the first mission.
That last one, because he's literally floating in the air and then he pulls the screw out and you hear it go tick, tick, tick. It should have floated as well. Okay.
Possible movie wearing a harness. Oh no, it's just an astronaut wearing a harness.
You can see it.
Check this one out. This dude totally gets his leg stuck. Look right there. Here, I had to show it again. Look at that. Now, we all know that they do actually train astronauts underwater to mimic what it's like to be in outer space. But in this next footage here, it's supposed to be a spacewalk, when you can clearly see in the reflection what looks to be a scuba diver taking the video.
Whoops.
You look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha.
Yeah. Just for fun. Entertainment. Let's go.
Sometimes the most unsettling footage doesn't come from deep in the woods or remote trail cams. It comes from ordinary security cameras, quietly keeping watch while families sleep. A particular camera was no different, mounted on the side of a suburban home, its lens pointed toward a stretch of dark woods. Just another uneventful night, or so it seemed. Then something extraordinary happened. The footage reveals a strange figure that seems to drop into the frame from above, as if descending from nowhere. There's no lead-up, no sound, no warning, just sudden unnatural motion. Too fluid, too fast, like something ripped out of a special effects reel, except this was captured on a real, unedited home security feed. The figure is vaguely humanoid, but that's where the similarity to anything human ends. What truly sets this apart is the...
It looks kind of small, too. Like, who knows? AI, whatever, possibly. And at first I was like, oh, that's just a bug. But if you'll notice, it does appear to have head, arms, legs, and it looks like it's 3 or 4 feet. I don't know. I wanted to show this, so if somebody has a better idea of what this is, put in the comments.
Faint glow radiating from the entity. It almost pulses. Soft, cold, and eerie. Because the camera was recording in black and white, we can't be sure if the light came from within the being itself, or if it was wrapped in some kind of luminescent clothing. Either way, it wasn't normal. It wasn't right. Some believe it was a visitor from elsewhere. Others wonder if it was a glimpse into another dimension, something slipping through the cracks of our reality, a manifestation of energy or intelligence we simply don't understand. But one thing is undeniable. While we sleep, while the world outside our windows seems quiet and still, there are things moving in the shadows, things that shouldn't exist, yet somehow do. Sometimes the most
Weird. I don't know if that was necessarily paranormal or anything, but it did look interdimensional. And it looked so small, like your average human's a little bit bigger than what we just saw there. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. See what you think. All right. Okay. I've put up stuff about this before, and this is I'll call it the graveyard paradox. I don't know if anybody's ever said that before. Is that a Dick original? I think it might be. I'm almost 50, and what they're talking about is the fact that they've never seen like a graveyard under construction because more people pass and it has to expand. Not one time in my life have I ever seen one being built, expanded, nothing. Watch this.
I've often said, I have not seen a new graveyard in my lifetime.
Ever.
I've never heard about a graveyard being too full to accept new bodies, too. So you would think that there would have to be a lot of them that would say, nope, no vacancy here. So where are the bodies?
Yeah. I'm in. I'm so in. In a town, like how many cemeteries can you really have before it's like, hey, the town has grown and we need to now bury the people who die here over there somewhere? And what are we doing with all these bodies?
What percentage of people are cremated? 60%.
Whoa, I never would have guessed that.
But still,
that still leaves 40%.
Right, how many? Look at how many people die in the U.S. a year.
2023, 3 million people roughly.
So there's 1.8 million bodies.
No, that were cremated.
Yeah, 1.2 million bodies are buried
per year.
Where? I've never seen a new graveyard.
They're not like, hey, new graveyard, grand opening.
Yeah, no,
First body.
Which they shouldn't.
I've often said, I have not.
Never. And I've lived real close to one. When I grew up as a kid, I used to ride my bike to one because it was just like right down the hill and up the road. I've seen, graves being prepared and stuff like that. But yeah, never. They talk about overpopulation all the time. Oh, this gets deep. You can delve down this rabbit hole for entertainment. And it gets real dark. They start to get into our food supply. And man, it's just, yeah. All right. Next.
Unexplainable phenomenons you gotta see to believe.
Okay, I don't know about these. The last one is definitely AI, I think. I say definitely, and then I say I think. But some of these, man. Here we go.
This first one is pretty recent from this year and has been digitally enhanced to see better, but a lot of good it does. You tell me what we're looking at.
I have no idea.
Best I can come up with is Marvel Sparkle Circles. Now this drone footage picks something up pretty crazy. Check this out. It just disappears into the mountain face, into the cliffside.
That is nuts.
Wait for it.
What?
This guy risks an accident to try to capture this, whatever it is. I saw some people calling it the trails with a kite, but I don't know. Let's try and get a closer look. Yeah, it almost looks like flames, but Who knows? Now, what do you see here? And don't say the Silver Surfer. He surfs. This guy's flying. But still. And I saved this one for last. I don't know what the heck's going on here. You may say AI. I might agree with you. But it's fun to speculate.
It looks cool.
Unexplainable phenomenons, you gotta see.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting though, so I tossed that in there. There's this one. Let me show you if I can. Let me drag it along here. It's the one right before that one. Look at that. For real Silver Surfer stuff.
But still. And I saved this one for last.
Yeah. I don't know. I say this almost every video or so. This world we live in. Wow. Right? What a time to be alive. To be, taking all this in and not knowing really what it is. What is going on? All right. Next.
I think.
Okay. Last one. Thank you if you've made it this far. Out of all the theories that are out there that we talk about, like where we're headed as a people and, our planet and all the things that could potentially happen, whether it's, the big war or some giant earthquake or volcano pops off or all that stuff, all plausible theories if you plug in enough of the things to make it work. But the pole shift is the one that just is constantly in my mind, because there's evidence of it in our, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Like the crust of the earth, you can tell things have shifted and completely reset. And there's all these theories about it. And this is the JRE again. And I think his name's Jimmy Corsetti. I think his channel's Bright Insight, I believe. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. But he'll reference Ben Davison. And I will too. If you are intrigued by this at all, or you just want to be like, no way, and you want to disprove it, check out Suspicious Observers. I watch him. It's the very first thing I look at every morning because he puts out a new video real early. And so it's like, once I get up and do all my maintenance stuff, I check Suspicious Observer. He's a scientist, super smart, and he has been tracking the potential pole shift. And there's so many things involved, from the sun and whatever. This is, I forgot how long this clip is. This is a little bit long clip, but whatever, right? Check it out. Hold on to your seats.
Let me tell you something. Let me share something right now that you've never heard on this show before. You hear everyone talking about cosmic impact hypothesis. You hear people talking about sun cycles. Not a lot of people have been on here talking about pole shifts. Let me give a quick shout out to Ben Davidson of Suspicious Observers. I recommend maybe you link up with him. Nobody has researched the topic of pole shifts and sun cycles as much as him. True. And he brought something to my attention I had never heard before. Jamie, the very first slide that you showed was of the Gothenburg excursion. So there was a partial pole flip right in the middle. See how it dates between 13,007 and 12,003? So the Younger Dryas started 12,800 years ago. And it's right in the middle of that ballpark range. We already know, it is established science that when geomagnetic pole excursions happen, it changes weather patterns on Earth as well as...
Okay, this is 8 minutes long, and I'm going to let it play. People like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock, they're kind of they have taken in the knowledge of the pole shift. Especially Randall Carlson thinks they're, and they could have been, who knows, comet or asteroid impacts, like what got rid of the dinosaurs and, reset the earth and all that stuff. but it's up for debate, of course. And there is a camp of people that believe it was the pole shift and not some giant comet or asteroid that struck the Earth. Who knows? Maybe this 3-eye atlas thing is coming to protect us. I don't know. Maybe to have us teleported up to the ship, let the thing happen, because it's only supposed to take like 7 days, and then the Earth begins to come back again. The poles are just supposed to be in a new place. I'm sure I'm messing up the science part of this. That's why I encourage you to check it out on your own. Due diligence. Okay, 8 minutes. I'm sorry. Here we go.
The ocean current. Jamie, if you want to Google, there's a space.com article titled that in 2025, some scientists are suggesting that the Earth's ocean currents may stop. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay. And nowhere in the articles
Scary.
do they mention anything about pole excursions. So people need to understand that we're already in the middle of a pole excursion, which is a partial pole flip, which means that things are shifting inside the Earth.
What?
It's also known that that can cause changes in ocean current. Now, most mainstream articles, let me just be fair and tell you what they'll say. They'll say that, oh, no, it's related to man-made climate change. We're changing the currents of the ocean. I don't believe that. But, yeah, hit don't allow. Don't let them take your data. Look at this. Nowhere in this article do they explain why. But here's the thing. People need to understand that the number one thing that affects weather on Earth is, of course, the sun. The second thing is ocean currents. It's the reason why England is relatively temperate.
Go back to that, Jamie.
It's the reason why England is relatively temperate is because the Gulf Stream flows up there and it keeps it relatively warm in
Look what
comparison.
the way it says it here. Key Atlantic current could collapse soon, impacting the entire world for centuries to come, leading climate scientists warn. So just by saying climate scientists, you're already implying at least this is the result of climate change.
Right, that's what
which
they
further fuels this agenda that man-made climate change is the cause of all of our.
I'm going to have to stop it again. The clip is so long that if I don't stop it and talk a little bit, they'll flag me for just, showing clips. But also, I'm going to mess up the science again, but it's something like this. There's a series of signs that we will see. Check out Suspicious Observer. I can't say it enough. It'll help you get a way better understanding. And you may have to watch stuff a couple times. I do, because it's way over my head. But yeah, some of these things that they're attributing to climate change and, our pollution and all that stuff that's affecting it, maybe not. Maybe it's pole related. Entertainment. Okay, here we go.
Woes. Yeah.
And the reason why you shouldn't listen to these people is because they're leaving out the key data involving
Yes.
Earth's historical climate data.
Yes.
They're not including all these other details.
Right.
And so I think people need to look at pole shifts because it's very interesting in this alternative realm that you have people that are proponents of the cosmic impact hypothesis. You have Dr. Robert Schoch with the sun cycles. You have other people talking about pole shifts. I think people should consider that all the above are correct, and let me explain why. When pole shifts happen, Earth's shields are diminished. We're in the middle of a pole shift right now. The Earth's shields are diminishing, and it's been happening since the 1800s. It's been accelerating over the last few decades. This is scientific data. The North Pole is shifting at like almost 40 miles a year, when it was half that just a decade ago. And when the Earth shields diminish, we are more susceptible to cosmic impacts because less.
40 miles a year?
Google it. This is real.
Wow.
It's
I
happening.
had no idea. I thought it was feet a year.
Now, the mainstream will say, don't worry, it's still another 1,000 years away. And I'm like, they actually can't prove that because we haven't been alive to document a pole shift. But what I'm trying to say is that we should consider the pole shift thing. Brother, ask Elon Musk his thoughts on this sometime.
Well, he actually just tweeted something about it recently.
What did he say?
He tweeted something about the magnetic poles.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He tweeted.
I feel like, I have to stop it again. I feel like I've done a video on this before too. I've actually done one solely devoted to the Adam and Eve book. Dr. Chan Thomas, because it was released by the 3-letter organization. I can't remember which one that was keeping it under wraps. People today talk about how the sun looks different. It used to be orange, yellow, but if you look at it in the sky today, It's kind of white. It's supposedly, I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but it has to do with our shields being down. And when they reference the shields, it's some part of our atmosphere that when the poles begin to shift, it causes them to release their fortitude. They're not as protective as they were, so we're more susceptible to solar flares and coronal mass ejections, which in turn, those big explosions off of our wonderful star are responsible for, our tectonic plate shifts and things of that nature, whatever. Okay, here we go.
He did something about
I think he actually retweeted the
core of the Earth.
What's his face? I forget his name, but you were just shouting
Ben Davison?
Ben Davison. I'm pretty sure he retweeted Ben Davison.
Oh, we need to find that out if that's the case. Because here's the thing.
He tweets so much, though. It takes so long to
I
go
know.
through his tweets. I don't know.
He does it too much. It's less effective because I'm like, I miss stuff. And I follow him closely, actually. There you go.
Yep.
Look at this.
Oh,
There's a thin crust of solid rock beneath which a vast ball of molten rock. Earth's core, which generates most of our magnetic field, is 85% iron and moves independently from the surface plates, which is why the magnetic pole changes position.
I love Brian Romelli. If I'm saying his name right, we follow each other. He's a great guy. I think Elon Musk is giving a hint here because you remember how the northern lights were visible as far south as Mexico in the last few months?
That was from solar activity, right?
Right. But the reason why it's more visible now is because the Earth shields are diminishing. This isn't like from Bob's website. This is mainstream science. Again, Ben Davison has taught me a lot on this, and he was actually on with Alex.
One of the reasons I will always, if there's some way that communicates this message better, because I don't feel like I'm doing a good job, I will show clips. I will continue to do this. If I'm not trying to produce a bunch of fear or anything, but as far as stuff goes, it's weird enough on this thing we live on. But this to me just feels like a thing. Feels like a thing. If this helps a person, a few, hopefully many, because from what I understand, this has happened before, and things do survive. That's how we're here today. They think maybe that's where the flood myth is attributed to the pole shift. And I feel as though, those are therapy words, that our fearless leaders, the .govs, they know. Why would they hide that Adam and Eve thing by Dr. Chan Thomas? Look into that. Man, I'm not, entertainment. Here we go. I'm trying to get through this, and hopefully it doesn't flag me for showing too much of the JRE. I know they're serious, but here we go.
Jones not long ago, and he really blew Alex Jones's mind. He vetted him, and so what I'm trying to say here is that this is not being brought into the equation of man-made climate change at all.
Well, because of all the things we were talking about, the educators want to be the only ones that distribute the information, and they don't want to look at the full picture. They only want to look at this one thing for the greater good of all of us. It's better if you just get people to only focus on getting an electric car.
Yep.
So the issue is that it's not like there's one explanation that could conceivably have caused this massive cataclysm. There's probably a lot of variables. Just like there's always been. I mean, we always like to conveniently ignore supervolcanoes. When one of those blows, the whole world's fucked. The country's dead. Everyone's fucked.
You should consider the possibility that that's related to pole shifts as well. And I can give you a point. There's one that happened. I've heard you talk about before the Toba super eruption.
Yeah.
Did you know that happened at the same time of a geomagnetic pole excursion?
Oh boy.
It's
it
true.
Makes sense. You're having all this movement.
There's movement inside the Earth. A full pole shift is when they believe that the innermost portion of the molten within the Earth core shifts. A geomagnetic pole excursion is a partial pole flip, which they theorize is related to the outer portion of the mantle. The Earth's crust sits on top of molten everything. And when that shifts, it shifts our compasses. And it's not unreasonable to suggest that when something shifts inside the Earth, it would affect things on the surface. I
For sure.
touched on this in the last time I was on, but when it comes to earthquakes, as an example, some originate in the crust, which is like 28 miles at its thickest, I believe, or on average, and others originate in the molten outer portion of the mantle. Well, if something shifts inside the Earth, why wouldn't it cause issues on the surface, whether it be earthquakes or volcanic activity? And some volcanic activity involving supervolcanoes coincides with geomagnetic pole excursions. And so when I was on your show last time talking about pole shifts along with the ice ages, I was part of the same topic. Why is it that Media Matters, funded by George Soros, decided to do a hit piece on Jimmy Corsetti, the YouTuber? Brother, they came after me hard on this, which to be honest, I relished over. I was like, this is hilarious. I'm like,
well, they don't understand that it's actually good publicity.
It is, and it makes me feel
they're
like
not credible anymore.
No.
Right, and it makes me feel like I'm over the target, because what's that saying about you get the most flack when you're over it? So like, I'm like, it makes me think that I'm onto something, because nowhere in any of these climate change topics, as far as like the narratives on it, do they mention anything natural involving, whether it be pole shifts. They sure as hell don't bring up the Green Sahara. They don't bring anywhere into the equation. They don't bring up the scientific fact that the Earth was warmer 4,000 years ago. There's Nobel Prize laureates that have been speaking out about this. There's two of them, Dr. Clauser, and there's another gentleman. I'm going to draw a blank in the top of my head. But like, they've shared this data. This is scientific fact, and they're getting shunned and ridiculed for it. I think because...
Yeah, all right. That's it. That's the last one. We've been doing this for like an hour. I just don't think we talk about it enough. This thing, it concerns me. And I don't know why. It just really, really does. Do your research. There are people out there talking about it. Like I said, Suspicious Observers, Ben Davison. I can't say it enough. Please check it out. Because there's tips on where, and they're basing this, there's tips on like where you can live and things you can do to potentially survive. I don't know. But I spend a lot of time on this. And I want more people to be talking about it. I want more information about it. I feel like there's something we could do, not to stop it from happening, but to preserve. Okay, that's it. I don't want to be too, Yeah. Thank you for joining me on this one. It's been a blast. I hope you enjoyed it as well. My calendar fell. I was trying to look up there. Whoops. It's Wednesday. I'll probably post another one on Friday. Like I said, I am attempting a plan of, dictate the day. I want to do some fitness stuff. I've done fitness stuff before. This channel is me doing stuff I enjoy. And I love the conspiracy / whatever, the stuff we don't talk about a lot, the fringe sciences and things like that. But I also love physical activity, and I want to share some of my knowledge, spread my love. That's one of my monikers, one of my mantras I live by. When I exit the video today, you'll hear me say it again. But I'm trying to find an apropos place to do it, because I want to show people you can get, I hate to use the word jacked, but I think a healthy mind is supported by a healthy body, and vice versa. And when it comes to survival, physical fitness is key. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and dip. Dick gonna dip. I'm going to go ahead and play us some music on the way out. Like I said, I really do appreciate you joining me for this one. Please, feel free. If you haven't subscribed, do so. I'm at like 111. And I think this is I'm real close to 100 videos that I've posted. I am a good, I don't know. I keep on checking the analytics page of my YouTube. I've got a distance before I can, do ads or get monetized or anything like that. But from what I understand, yes, subscribing is important. But that like button is what, the like button is what spreads this thing, I get like 3 or 4 likes, even if I get, 50 or 60 views. So if you want to help old Dick out, give it a thumbs up. Hell, give it a thumbs down. I think that works too. It's just engagement. Whatever. I'll take it. Talk some smack in the comments. I'm ready. I love it. Show some love. I appreciate that even more. With that being said, I love you and appreciate your time, because time is a precious commodity these days. I'll see you on Friday. I'm going to try to work on switching up some of the content for fun. I'm such an attention deficit kid. It fits me. It'll fit the channel. Yes, I love you. Dick's going to dip. I'll see you on the flip. And with that, remember, everyone, spread your love. Share your knowledge. It'll be good. It'll be good, I promise. And on your marks, get set, prepare yourself, and here we go. Everybody have a great week. I know we're halfway through it. We're almost done. Enjoy your day.